17th, 2015 meeting of the Limestone County Commission to order. Do we have any public comments?
No one except Kelly and Jim.
Kelly, Jim, whichever ones you're ready. Jim's always really energetic.
I drink a lot of coffee.
Pull the
Three
mic
cup-
over, Jim, so everybody can see you.
Is that about right?
That'd be great.
Yeah, 3 cups this morning already. We are right now landscaping. That's where we're at. We're doing landscaping on the outside. We're suspended today because we were about 2 days from having seed on the ground and wanting the rain. So we got the rain today. So now I'm guessing we might not have the site done this week, but the site was scheduled to be finished Thursday morning, and we may have us a couple of days of rain, so it may bleed over into Saturday. On the inside, we're working off punch lists, and then we've got the our main final at the end of this week. So we'll have the punch list items worked off, and hopefully we'll have a good final inspection and get out of everybody's way.
Thank you, Jim.
All right,
I
thanks.
appreciate it. The man of the hour, Mr. Kelly Howard.
How y'all today?
Right.
All right. We continue on with the MEP work at the courthouse. It's going pretty smoothly. We haven't had any hiccups with that. We've had to work out some dimensions and above ceiling, getting everything in certain areas so it's not interfering with each other. The structural repairs have started. We've started working on the wall openings. We had a few glitches on that, but it's kind of a work this thing out because we've never had to do anything like this, and the structural engineers never had to work exactly what we're having to do with a masonry building like this. So some of this is kind of trial and error. So we got that part out of the way a couple of weeks ago, so things are going a lot smoother with the structural repairs. We'll be repairing more wall openings this week and actually start on some of the floor openings with the structural steel that should be coming in later this week on some of the openings in the floors. We'll concentrate on the openings that other trades are having to use for ductwork, piping, that kind of thing. The work around the elevator openings and elevator door openings, we'll get those about the same time. So that should take about the next 2 to 3 weeks to work on those, and then the non-essential openings, we'll work on those last, and that should take approximately 3 to 4 weeks after we work these out. We've started some of the exterior work as far as replacing the heating and cooling piping under the ground. We'll be taking the storefronts out today to get ready to demolition the concrete at that west foyer. That's where the pipe from the heating and cooling system come into the building. So we'll be excavating a trench there to replace that pipe. Also, the city has started to work on Washington Street. So we'll be getting our communication wiring and the new power supply from the city. That'll all be going on in the next couple of weeks also.
Are they about done with the duct work?
Yes.
Heating and cooling, 'cause it's
We've all we have left on that is just minor miscellaneous items in the attic and second and third floor. We'll be starting the first floor this week, and that's the main. And when that's done, then we'll just be minor hookups after that.
all righty.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Robert, is there anything you'd like to add?
I just wanted to give an update on the courthouse roof. I know the last time we spoke, we did complete the drawings and coordinated with Martin and Kobe on that. So the first advertisement was, I believe, Sunday, and we have a pre-bid scheduled for August 27th, and the bid will be opened on September 10th.
Okay. How long will it take them to do that? I understand the logistics of getting it up on a 3-story building.
Oh, you know,
30
maybe.
days?
No, I think it would take longer than that, just for materials
How many square
being
was it?
delivered
I
to the
didn't-
site.
You remember
No,
offhand, Kelly? It was several. It was several hundred, wasn't it?
Yeah. I believe somewhere, 60 to 90 days possibly, but, I think that depends on the structural repairs, how long it takes to integrate some of that.
Because you got the EPDM and then the shingle, in addition to the shingles.
Right. There's the marriage of the EPDM with the shingles along with the structural repairs that are integral to all of it.
Thanks, Robert. At this time, Ms. Ball, would you do the roll call?
Commissioner Hill,
Here.
Commissioner Turner,
Here.
Commissioner Black,
Here.
Commissioner Harrison.
Here.
All present. Commissioner Black, if you'll lead us in the pledge.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda be approved minutes from July 29th and August 3rd, 2015. Do I hear a motion to approve such minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. Our next item, the approved claims, a total of $1,504,715.87. Do I hear a motion to approve such claims?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Black. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. There are no resolutions or orders to come before the commission. We'll move on to contracts, agreements, and grants. First item, approved contract with Alabama Department of Youth Services Long-Term Detention Subsidy Contract to provide one detention bed for the use of the juvenile court beginning October 1, 2015 through September 30th, 2016, without cost to the county. Payments to be made to Tennessee Valley Juvenile Detention Facility. Do I hear a motion to do so?
I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Harrison. Do I hear a second?
I second.
I have a second by Mr. Black. Any discussion? There's no discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next item, the approved agreement with the Mental Health Center of North Central Alabama to continue providing an on-site juvenile court liaison for 40 hours per week, beginning October 1, 2015 through September 30th, 2016, for $57,750 annually. Do I hear a motion to approve such agreement?
I make a motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
A second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next item, approve agreement with Athens Limestone Hospital to provide a hospital driver to transport desiring county residents who are kidney dialysis patients to a local dialysis center at a cost of $30,890 annually. Do I hear a motion to approve this agreement?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next item, approve a supplemental agreement for additional services with Garver LLC, construction engineering services for the bridge replacement of Mooresville Road over French's Mill Estates. These are to be reimbursed by A-TRIP funds with no cost to the county. Is that not correct, Mr. Sanders? Do I need,
I make a motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Turner, and I have a second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next item, approve agreement with ALDOT for covering the financing for the preliminary engineering for the design of Liberty Lane Bridge. Federal funds 80%, county funds 20%. Do I hear a motion to approve such agreement?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Hill. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Black. Any discussion? There's no discussion. We'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. At this time, I'll ask for a motion to suspend the rules of orders to add employment agreement to the agenda for the position of county engineer. Do I hear?
Motion to suspend the rules?
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. I have a motion by Mr. Harrison. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. At this time, I'll ask for a motion to approve the employment agreement for the position of county engineer for Jimmy Bryant Moss at a base rate paid of $120,000 a year, beginning the first day of September 2015 and concluding the 31st day of August 2018. Do I hear a motion to approve such agreement?
I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion?
Only thing on the termination, we can terminate, either party can terminate this with 90 days of
Yes, sir.
advance notice at any time. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If there's no more discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We have one budget revision to come before the county. It's recycling. It's to purchase a truck for the recycling center in the amount of $18,200. I hear a motion to make such revision.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Harrison. Any discussion?
Well, just from what I understand, the vehicle they've been pulling those trailers with wasn't sufficient. It was causing a lot of trouble with the brakes and maybe even the transmission. I don't know if that's what she said or not, but that's kind of what she made me believe. So this is what this is. Just getting her a more heavy-duty vehicle.
Thank you, sir. If there's no more discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. There are no emergency purchases to come before the commission, nor any board appointments. This time, we'll move to award bids. I'll ask for a motion to award bid proposal 2546 for waterway debris removal, awarded to Crowder Gulf in the amount of $60,860. Do I hear a motion to approve such bid?
That's my matching. I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
A second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion?
That is our match.
No, that is the cost.
That's the
of
total?
removal. That's the
Okay.
total.
All right.
That's even better.
Yeah. There's no more discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. This time we'll move to personnel action. Number one, ask for a motion to approve job description for engineering foreman, grade 11.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion?
Yeah, I would, if y'all are in agreement, that we table this for the work session next time. I talked to some of the staff in the engineering, got a little additional information, and I think we all are trying to strive toward the same thing. And we just approved an engineer position for Bryant. Let's get everybody in the room and talk about this and to see what we're trying to achieve and what kind of shifting among staff and backfilling that we need to do before we go ahead and, approve this job description. I have no problem if we add the job with the job description per se, but it's been my experience, let's make sure that all of us are aware of what we're trying to accomplish and do before we approve it. I just make a motion now that we just lay it on the table till the next work session.
Can we do that, Pam? It's already been a motion and a second made to vote on this.
You can always motion to, you can always make a motion to lay on the table.
Do we vote on the first motion and second, though?
No.
Not if it's-
Second. Gotta get a second.
You gotta get a second for the motion to lay on the table. If it don't get a second, then you can go back to your first motion.
But, yeah.
All right, do we have a motion to table this till,
Till the next work session.
all right, next work session? Do I hear a second?
Well, Can I speak just one
Sure,
second?
absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, 'cause
what,
we're-
what I'm looking at here is, this is just a job description. This doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to approve to hire the person. Let's do that, and then we can meet with Bryant and decide who would be in this position, if he thinks his position will be approved. So, since we've got the job description written down, we can approve this, but we don't have to actually hire the person today. Does that
And-
sound good to you, that we
and-
do that?
It's been my experience, though, that if we do, and we may, and I may even decide to do this, but I want all the information of kind of how we're gonna do it and how we're gonna backfill before, if we go ahead and approve this job description, I did this once before, but when everything was in a budget, thinking we could address it later, I would rather kind of get a full picture before we even modify the job description. I mean, and we may go ahead and do it all. I just want all the information before I do it. I think there's been some discussion that I haven't been privy to, and I just talked to some individuals this morning, and it may be okay, but I just wish we would just lay it on the table till the next work session, discuss it, have Bryant there, and we talk about what we're trying to achieve, and do it in a work session.
Have you talked to Brian about it yet?
I didn't talk to Brian, and I'd like to. Okay, he's gone. I went to this morning, and he was gone, so, but I did talk to other individuals, and it may be it's workable, okay? But we just take it up in a work session. It's not going, I assume that this is not going to take an effect till the next budget year anyway. Is that correct?
I wouldn't know how we could get it done before then. I mean, it's,
Right, so we got
Already-
plenty of time.
huh,
You would have to advertise in-house.
prior to the next. But I mean, that don't mean, just because we approve this job description change, kinda like Jay said, doesn't mean we're gonna actually fill this job.
No, because
Well-
the position is already there. It's just.
That's what I'm saying.
It's in the staffing
It's in the
plan.
It's
staffing
in the
plan
staffing
already.
plan already.
Right.
There's just not a current job description for this. We have an old job description for it from back, 2000 maybe, but, not a current one.
Well,
I don't have a problem with approving the job description if we're not gonna be doing the hiring today.
The hiring won't be done to.
We hadn't even advertised the job, so.
You
Yeah,
gotta
that's what I'm
say,
saying, so-
Advertise it first.
Yeah, but I have a question of whether or not it's needed, and it may be, and like I say, I'm leaning more favorably after my discussions this morning. But, I really wish that we would have everything on the table in a work session and everybody lay their cards out on the table and what their plans are.
I felt like we laid them out pretty good last Wednesday.
Okay.
You didn't? I mean, you didn't think that? We talked about it till Mark said, let's move on. Am I wrong, Commissioner?
No, I thought we talked about it too last work session. I mean, I was comfortable with what we talked about. I mean, sometimes people don't agree with each other, but, we have to go on.
Right.
well, unless y'all have any more, we have a motion to table this before us. Do I hear a second? If there is no second, motion fails for lack of a second. We do still have a motion and a second to go ahead and approve this job description for engineering foreman.
We do.
Is there any more discussion on that? If there's no discussion, we'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next item, hire Mark Hurd as a correction officer effective August 24th, 2015, pending a drug and alcohol screening. Do I hear a motion to make such hire?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Turner and Mr. Hill, whichever one you write down first. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, we'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black.
Aye.
Commissioner Turner.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next item, hire John Michael Fleming as a correction officer effective September 1, 2015, pending drug and alcohol screening. Do I hear a motion to make such hire?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Our next item, merit increases, and you all have the printout before you of the employees. Do I hear a motion to grant such merit increases are listed in the book?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Black. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Turner. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Now we'll move on to the engineer's report. Approve the following subdivision, Primwood Estates. Mr. Sanders?
This is a re-subdivision of a lot in Primwood Estates and making this one lot into two lots. It is in order for approval.
Thank you, sir. Do I hear a motion to approve the following subdivision, Primwood Estates?
I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Turner. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? If no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the engineer's reports, approve a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit on Petey Lane in District 1. Do I hear a motion to,
So move.
a motion by Mr. Hill? Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
A second by Mr. Black. Any discussion? Mr. Sanders, you sure you don't want to pipe in? This is your last meeting.
It's a residential area. Recommend 25 miles.
Okay, Sarah, Sarah.
If there's no more discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, in other business, approving the following change orders for Phase 3 of the courthouse renovation project for an additional $12,014.50. You see the printout before you. I wish there was more of them in the parentheses with a deduction, but, good. Do I hear a motion to approve such change orders?
So move.
A motion by Mr. Hill. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
A second by Mr. Black. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Turner,
Aye.
Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. There are no scheduled public hearings to come before the commission, so at this time, we'll move to the report of the officers. Commissioner Hill?
We still doing the routine, work in the county in our district. We're looking forward to, when we get the A-Trip projects released. I know people's been calling about Thatch Road, and, I wish we could get, the state office to release them projects. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Turner?
I just want to say thanks to Richard Sanders for the last 2 years and 9 months and the next 13 or 14 days. He's made it a whole lot easier on me and helped me a bunch over the time I've been in office, and I sure do appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Black?
Same thing. I've known Richard pretty much my entire life. My dad working for the commission and my uncle being the chairman, and I've seen Richard red-eared and I've seen him smile. So I'm gonna miss you, Richard. You've been fantastic for Limestone County. This is where I'm born and raised, and we're glad to have had you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Harrison?
Well, we finished chip sealing North Poplar Creek and Happy Hollow, and the rain kind of delayed us today. But I want to echo everything that's been said before about Richard. He's been a pleasure to work with. From the first time I sat down with him when I first started to run, and he's been pleasant to work with. We've worked together to improve things, and he's going to be mightily missed.
Thank you, sir. Well, I had the distinction of my former vocation as a road builder and developer and contractor deal with Richard. I remember when he first come to Limestone County. We've been working together for 30 years. Richard continues to be, and has always been a class act, and we're gonna miss you a lot, Richard. He also holds the distinction, along with my wife, of being one of the two people that I've never won an argument against in my entire life. But we will miss you, Richard, and we're gonna, he has promised to keep his cell phone on and answer phone calls, and I know he's a man of honor and integrity. He's probably gonna regret that decision somewhere down the line, but thank you for all your service, Richard. And with that, we'll recess until 10 a.m. on Wednesday, September 2nd, 2015, at the Washington Street Courthouse.